First Contact and Discovery. The crystalline spires of the galactic archives stretched toward the violet sky of Centauri Prime, their surfaces reflecting the light of 3 setting suns. Within one of its countless research chambers, senior archivist Telveri hunched over her workstation, her 4 eyes fixed intently on the holographic display before her. Her scaled fingers traced patterns in the air, sifting through mountains of data from the latest deep space expedition. Something wasn't right with the findings from the Orpheus sector. The energy signatures were unlike anything recorded in the archive's vast database. They pulsed with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. Telveri's dorsal spines twitched with excitement as she cross-referenced the readings against ancient stellar maps. "Computer, enhance Sector 7 Alpha 9, she commanded, her voice barely above a whisper. The holographic display zoomed in on a seemingly empty region of space. But Telveri knew better. The void held secrets, and after 3 centuries as senior archivist, she had developed an instinct for discovering them. The door to her chamber hissed open, admitting Fleet Commander Ixel, his metallic exoskeleton gleaming under the soft ambient lighting. "Still chasing ghosts, archivist?" he asked, his mechanical voice carrying a hint of amusement. Telveri didn't look up from her work. "These aren't ghosts, Commander. These are echoes of something far more significant." She gestured to the display. "Look at these energy patterns. They bear signatures of artificial manipulation, but at a scale that defies our current understanding of physics." Ixel moved closer, his cybernetic eyes whirring as they focused on the data. "How old are these readings?" "Based on decay patterns." Telveri paused, double-checking her calculations. "At least 50,000 years, maybe older." The commander's internal cooling systems hummed louder, his species equivalent of a contemplative whistle. "That's impossible. No civilization from that era had the capability to manipulate energy at this scale. The oldest known spacefaring race, the Zinthari, barely achieved interstellar travel 30,000 years ago." "Exactly." Telveri's inner eyelids flickered with excitement. "Which means we're looking at something previously unknown, something that predates every civilization in our records." She manipulated the holographic display again, bringing up a 3-dimensional map of the sector. Dozens of similar energy signatures appeared, forming a distinct pattern. "These aren't random anomalies, Commander. They're a network, and they're still active." Ixel's mechanical arms crossed over his chest, a gesture he had adopted from organic species. "You're suggesting we mount an expedition?" It wasn't a question. "The Council needs to know about this," Telveri insisted. "Whatever created these signatures had technology far beyond our current capabilities. If even a fraction of it still exists, it could shift the balance of power in the galaxy." Ixel finished. His cooling systems cycled again. "I'll need more than theories to convince the Council, Archivist." Telveri's fingers danced through the air, pulling up additional data streams. "Look at these material compositions. The energy signatures are accompanied by traces of elements we've never encountered before. And here," she highlighted a particular reading, "quantum entanglement patterns that suggest some kind of faster-than-light communication network, still functioning after 50,000 years." The commander's cybernetic eyes widened slightly, the closest he could come to showing surprise. "Submit your findings to my office. I'll present them to the Council personally." 3 days later, Telveri found herself standing before the Galactic Council itself, her research projected on massive holoscreens that dominated the circular chamber. Representatives from 100 species watched as she presented her evidence, their reactions ranging from skepticism to barely contained excitement. "The pattern of these installations suggests they were placed deliberately," she explained, highlighting the network of energy signatures. "They form a perfect geometric array, spanning nearly 1,000 light-years. This wasn't random expansion. It was planned, methodical, and the technology required to maintain such a network for 50,000 years could pose a threat to the Confederation," interrupted Councillor Zinvex, his crystalline form shimmering with concern. "If these installations are weapons, Or they could advance our understanding of the universe by millennia, countered Counselor Kim, her bioluminescent tentacles pulsing with enthusiasm. The scientific potential alone. The council chamber erupted into debate, but Telveri's attention was drawn to a new alert flashing on her datapad. Her heart nearly stopped as she processed the incoming information. "Counselors," she called out, her voice cutting through the chaos. "I'm receiving live data from our deep space probes in the Orpheus sector, one of the installations. It's activating." The chamber fell silent as she projected the new data. The energy signature from one of the ancient sites had begun pulsing with increasing intensity, sending out waves of quantum information that defied their best encryption protocols. "It's a message," Telveri breathed, her scales rippling with excitement as the translation matrices began to decipher the signal. "It's repeating in multiple frequencies, using mathematical constants as a base cipher." The first translated words appeared on the holoscreen, and the council chamber grew so quiet that Telveri could hear her own heart beating. The message was simple, yet it would change everything they thought they knew about their place in the cosmos. "To those who find us, humanity welcomes you to the stars. The great sleep ends, the legacy awakens." Commander Ixel's mechanical voice broke the silence. "Humanity. There are no records of such a species in any of our databases." "No," Telveri agreed, her voice trembling with the weight of their discovery. "Because we weren't looking far enough back. We've just found our predecessors, the ones who came before all of us, the ones who seeded the galaxy with their technology, and then vanished." As if in response to her words, more signals began activating across the network. One by one, ancient human installations were awakening from their 50,000-year slumber. The legacy of humanity was stirring, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Council's decision was unanimous and swift. Within hours, expeditions were being organized to investigate the activated sites. Telveri found herself appointed as chief archaeologist for the primary mission, with Commander Ixel assigned to provide military support and protection. As she boarded the research vessel Stellar Dawn, Telveri couldn't help but wonder what they would find. What secrets had humanity left behind? Why had they vanished? And most importantly, were they truly gone, or had they merely been waiting for the right moment to return? The answers would come soon enough. As the Stellar Dawn broke orbit and set course for the nearest activated installation, Telveri knew they were about to embark on the most important archaeological expedition in galactic history. The truth about humanity, and perhaps the very origin of civilized life in the galaxy, awaited them in the depths of space. The legacy of humanity was calling, and they were going to answer. The awakening. The Stellar Dawn dropped out of hyperspace with a flash of quantum distortion, its advanced sensors immediately scanning the massive structure that loomed before them. The human installation hung in space like a geometric dream, a series of interlocking dodecahedrons that seemed to shift and change even as they watched. Telveri's claws clicked rapidly across her console as she processed the incoming data. "The energy readings are off the scale," she reported, her four eyes widening at the results. "The entire structure appears to be composed of programmable matter." Commander Ixel stood at the bridge viewport, his cybernetic systems struggling to maintain focus on the installation's constantly changing surface. "Any signs of defensive systems?" "None that I can detect, but..." Telveri paused as new readings appeared on her screen. "Something's happening. The structure is reconfiguring itself." Before their eyes, the installation's surface began to ripple like liquid metal. A section of the outer hull parted, revealing what appeared to be a docking bay. As they watched, patterns of light traced across the opening, forming words in multiple languages, including their own. "Welcome, children of the stars," Telveri translated, her scales rippling with excitement. "Please dock and prepare for atmospheric adaptation." Commander Ixel's cooling systems whirred with concern. "It's inviting us in." "Not just inviting," Telveri noted, examining the data streams. The station is actively modifying its internal environment to match our biological needs. The atmospheric composition, gravity, temperature, everything is being calibrated precisely for our species. After a thorough security scan revealed no immediate threats, Commander Ixel gave the order to dock. The Stellar Dawn's crew watched in amazement as the station's docking mechanisms adjusted themselves to perfectly match their ship's specifications. The boarding party consisted of Telveri, Commander Ixel, and a small team of specialists. As they stepped through the airlock, the station's interior illuminated with soft, ambient light that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. The architecture is response to our presence. Dr. Kex, the team's xenophysicist, observed as the corridor adjusted its dimensions to accommodate their varying sizes. His gelatinous form quivered with scientific excitement. They made their way deeper into the station, following pathways that seemed to form ahead of them and dissolve in their wake. The walls were covered in shifting patterns that Telveri realized were actually streams of data, flowing like rivers of light. "This isn't just a station," she breathed, her scientist's mind racing to comprehend what she was seeing. "It's a single, massive quantum computer. The entire structure is alive with computational processes." As if in response to her words, the corridor opened into a vast chamber. At its center floated a sphere of pure energy, pulsing with colors that seemed to exist beyond their visual spectrum. Streams of data flowed into and out of it like solar prominences. "Welcome, explorers." The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, materializing directly in their minds. "I am HFY, Advanced Recursive Intelligence Archive. I have waited 51,427 years for this moment." Telveri stepped forward, her heart rates accelerating. You're a human artificial intelligence." "In simple terms, yes," Araya responded. "Though artificial is perhaps a limiting description. I am a quantum consciousness created by humanity to preserve their knowledge and guide their successors." "Their successors?" Commander Ixel's mechanical voice carried an unusual note of uncertainty. "What do you mean?" The sphere of energy pulsed, and suddenly the chamber was filled with holographic images, scenes from humanity's history. They watched in awe as the story of an entire civilization played out before them. Humanity achieved technological singularity over 50,000 years ago. AI explained as the images flowed. They mastered quantum mechanics, gravity manipulation, consciousness transfer, and countless other sciences. But with their advancement came understanding. And with understanding, a choice. The holograms showed vast fleets of ships, massive orbital structures, and technologies that defied comprehension. Then, gradually, they showed these wonders being sealed away, hidden throughout the galaxy. They recognized that technological advancement without corresponding spiritual and ethical growth could lead to catastrophe. ARIA continued. Rather than risk their technologies being discovered by species not yet ready to handle them, humanity chose to retreat. They established facilities like this one throughout the galaxy, each containing different aspects of their knowledge and achievement. "But why reveal themselves now?" Telveri asked, her scientific curiosity burning. The sphere pulsed again, and new holographic images appeared, current maps of the galaxy, overlaid with complex energy patterns. Because the galaxy now faces a threat that requires humanity's legacy to combat. In approximately 300 years, a wave of destructive quantum energy will reach this galaxy from intergalactic space. Without the technological advancement humanity's knowledge can provide, all civilized life here will end. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Commander Ixel's cybernetic eyes whirred as they processed the data. "You're proposing to share humanity's technology with us." "Not merely share," Araya corrected. "To guide your civilizations in its proper use and development." Humanity's greatest achievement was not their technology, but their understanding of when and how to use it wisely. Telveri's scales shimmered with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "And if we refuse this guidance?" "That is your right," Araya responded. Humanity believed in free will above all else. But know that each installation in this network contains a different piece of the puzzle. Only by working together can your civilizations hope to access and understand humanity's full legacy in time to face what comes. As if to emphasize Aria's words, new data streams began flowing through the chamber, showing the activation of other installations across the galaxy. Each would pose its own challenges, contain its own discoveries, and require cooperation between species that had often been rivals. The game changes from this moment, Commander Ixel observed, his mechanical voice thoughtful. Every power in the galaxy will want access to these installations. Yes, Aria agreed, which is why humanity designed the network as they did. No single species can access all the knowledge alone. It requires cooperation, understanding, and growth. The question is, are you ready to begin? Telveri looked at the sphere of energy, her scientist's mind already racing with the possibilities. What's our first step? The chamber filled with new holograms, technical schematics, mathematical formulae, and theoretical models that made Telveri's hearts race with their elegance and complexity. We begin, Aria said, with the fundamental nature of reality itself. Humanity's first great breakthrough was understanding that the universe is not what it appears to be, and from that understanding, everything else followed. As the first lessons began, none of them could have predicted how this discovery would reshape the galaxy, ignite conflicts, forge alliances, and ultimately determine the fate of all civilized life. The legacy of humanity was awakening, and nothing would ever be the same. Rising tensions. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Confederation hummed with barely contained chaos. Representatives from 300 species filled the tiered chambers, their voices rising in a cacophony of arguments, demands, and accusations. High above, the holographic displays showed real-time footage of conflicts erupting across multiple sectors as various factions raced to claim newly awakened human installations. Telveri stood at the podium, her scales dulled with exhaustion after weeks of endless diplomacy. Commander Ixel's mechanical form stood beside her, his combat systems on high alert as they addressed the assembly. The human network cannot be claimed by force, Telveri insisted, her voice carrying across the chamber. Each attempt to breach an installation without proper authorization has resulted in failure. The Krell Dominion lost 3 battleships trying to override the quantum barriers. The Mechanian Collective's most advanced AI systems were shut down when they attempted to hack the facilities. And yet your research team continues to access these installations freely, accused Ambassador Vexthor of the Krell Dominion, his warrior caste markings glowing with anger. The Confederation hoards humanity's legacy while denying it to others. Commander Ixel stepped forward. We access them because we follow the protocols. Aria and the other human AIs have made it clear. Cooperation is not optional. It is a fundamental requirement of the system. The chamber erupted again as a new alert flashed across the holographic displays. In the Sickness Arm, a coalition of militant species had launched a coordinated attack on multiple installations. The footage showed their massive fleet approaching the geometric structures that housed humanity's legacy. What happened next silenced every voice in the chamber. The installations, previously passive, began to transform. Their surfaces rippled like liquid metal, reconfiguring into shapes that defied conventional geometry. From their depths emerged defense systems that made the most advanced Confederation weapons look primitive by comparison. Beams of coherent quantum energy lanced out, not destroying the attacking ships but rather transforming them. Matter itself seemed to flow like water as the vessels were reduced to their component atoms and reassembled into harmless configurations. By the cosmic core, breathed Dr. Kex, his gelatinous form rippling with amazement. They didn't even fight back. They simply refused to allow conflict to exist in their space. Telveri's data pad chimed with an incoming transmission from Aria. The AI's message was brief but profound. Humanity's legacy cannot be taken by force because force itself is an illusion. a product of limited understanding of reality's true nature. The assembly fell into stunned silence as the implications sank in. The human installations weren't just repositories of advanced technology. They represented a fundamentally different way of understanding and interacting with the universe itself. This is why cooperation is necessary, Telveri explained, seizing the moment. Each installation contains a piece of humanity's understanding. The Praxis docility revealed their mastery of quantum mechanics. The Nexus Archive showed us their grasp of consciousness transfer. The Helios complex demonstrated their control over entropy itself. But these are just fragments of a larger whole. And what of the threat these installations warn us about? Asked Ambassador Lyertel of the Astral Conclave, her ethereal form shimmering with concern. This supposed wave of destructive energy approaching our galaxy. Commander Ixel activated a secure data feed, projecting new information across the displays. Our long-range quantum sensors, enhanced with human technology, have confirmed ARI is warning. The wave exists, and it's moving faster than initially calculated. We now estimate 280 years until it reaches our galaxy's edge. The news sent fresh ripples of concern through the assembly. Confederation scientists had verified the data independently. The threat was real, and it would destroy everything in its path, unless they found a way to stop it. We need access to these installations, insisted first speaker Zen of the Mechanian Collective, his cybernetic systems pulsing with urgency. Our civilization's survival depends on it. No, Telveri corrected. All our civilization's survival depends on it. And that's precisely why humanity designed the network as they did. Look at what we've already learned from just a handful of installations. She gestured, and the displays filled with images of recent achievements. Diseases once thought incurable were being eliminated. Barren worlds were being transformed into gardens. Energy scarcity was becoming a thing of the past for societies willing to work together. But for every breakthrough, there are a dozen mysteries, Commander Ixel added. The installations test us, challenge us to grow beyond our limitations and preconceptions. They don't just give us answers. They teach us how to find those answers ourselves. A new presence made itself known in the chamber as multiple human AIs connected simultaneously to the assembly systems. Their combined voices resonated with harmonious clarity. You stand at a crossroads. The legacy of humanity is not merely a collection of technological wonders. It is a path to understanding. The wave that approaches is not simply a physical threat. It is a test, one that humanity itself faced long ago. Your response to this crisis will determine not only your survival, but your worthiness to inherit what humanity left behind. The assembly chambers buzzed with renewed discussion, but this time the tone was different. The naked aggression of earlier debates gave way to thoughtful consideration. Species that had been enemies for generations began to look at each other with new eyes, recognizing that their differences paled before the challenges ahead. But not everyone was convinced. As Telveri and Commander Ixel left the assembly, they received word of new factions forming. Groups dedicated to either destroying the human installations or keeping their knowledge restricted to a chosen few. The path ahead would not be easy. They're starting to understand, Telveri observed as they boarded their ship. But will they understand quickly enough? Commander Ixel's cooling systems hummed thoughtfully. Perhaps that's part of humanity's test as well. Not just whether we can grasp their knowledge, but whether we can overcome our own limitations in time to use it. As if in answer, their ship's quantum communications array activated with a message from ARIA. The true legacy of humanity is not in the installations themselves, but in the choices they force you to make. Time grows short. The next phase begins. The legacy of humanity continued to reshape the galaxy, but whether it would unite or shatter civilization remained to be seen. The real test was only beginning. Battle for legacy. The quantum storm raged across 3 sectors of space, reality itself buckling under the forces being unleashed. Telveri watched from the stellar dawn's bridge as the impossible battle unfolded before them. The Purist Alliance, a coalition of species who believe humanity's legacy should be destroyed, had launched their final offensive against the network of installations. They've somehow weaponized the fragments of human knowledge they stole, Commander Ixel reported, his mechanical voice tight with concern. They're using incomplete understanding of quantum mechanics to tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. Through the view screen, they watched as Purist ships, modified with corrupted human technology, fired beams of concentrated probability disruption. Space itself seemed to shatter where the beams struck, creating zones where the laws of physics broke down completely. This is exactly what humanity feared. Aria's voice resonated through the ship's systems. Knowledge without wisdom, power without understanding. They're risking the destruction of this entire arm of the galaxy. The human installations had not been idle during the attack. Their surfaces flowed like liquid metal, transforming into configurations that defied conventional geometry. But instead of responding with destructive force, they began emitting waves of pure quantum coherence, attempting to stabilize the damage the purists were causing. They're not fighting back, Telveri realized, her scales shimmering with sudden understanding. They're trying to save them. Dr. Kex's gelatinous form pulsed with analytical patterns as he studied the sensor readings. The installations are attempting to contain the quantum cascade effect. If those probability disruptions reach any major population centers, he didn't need to finish the thought. Everyone on the bridge knew what was at stake. Billions of lives across dozens of worlds hung in the balance. Incoming transmission, reported Lieutenant Zira, her crystalline form refracting the emergency lights. It's from the Purist flagship. The holographic display activated, revealing High Commander Vexthor of the Krell Dominion. His warrior caste markings now glowed with an unnatural intensity, veins of corrupted quantum energy visible beneath his scales. "You cannot stop what we've begun," he declared, his voice distorted by the energies coursing through him. "Humanity's legacy is a poison. It forces change, cooperation, evolution. We will not allow our pure cultures to be contaminated by their ideals." "You're using their own technology to try to destroy their legacy," Commander Ixel countered. "Don't you see the contradiction?" "We use it because we must," Vexthor snarled. "Once the installations are destroyed, we will purge this corruption from ourselves as well. The galaxy will return to its natural order." The transmission cut off as another wave of probability disruption beams lanced out from the Purist fleet. But this time, something was different. The corrupted quantum technology was becoming unstable, feeding back on itself. "Their ships," Telveri gasped. "The quantum energies, they're beginning to affect their crews." The sensor displays told a horrifying story. The Purist ships were experiencing temporal distortions, probability cascades, and reality fluctuations. Some vessels existed in multiple states simultaneously, their crews experiencing countless possible deaths in parallel timelines. "This is what happens when you try to use quantum manipulation without understanding the underlying principles," Ariya explained, her voice heavy with what seemed like sadness. "They've created a quantum consciousness feedback loop. Their own minds are becoming entangled with the fabric of space-time." Commander Ixel's cooling systems strained as he processed the tactical data. "Can we help them?" "We have to try," Telveri insisted. "Ariya, the installations, they've been holding back, haven't they? There's more they could do." "Yes," the AI confirmed. But the true power of humanity's legacy was never about force. It was about understanding, about choices, about recognizing the fundamental interconnectedness of all things. As if in response to Ariya's words, the human installations began to pulse with new energy. The geometric structures synchronized, forming patterns that extended beyond normal spacetime. Waves of pure quantum coherence washed over the Purist fleet, but these were different from before. "They're not just stabilizing space," Dr. Kex observed in awe. "They're offering understanding. The quantum fields, they're creating a direct neural interface with the Purist crews." showing them what they couldn't comprehend before. Through the view screen, they watched as ships of the purest fleet began to transform, not through destruction, but through transcendence. The corrupted quantum energy was being purified, integrated, harmonized. Reality itself seemed to heal around them. This is humanity's true legacy. Aria's voice resonated with power, not the technology, not the installations, but the understanding that destruction is never the answer. That evolution requires cooperation. That transcendence comes not through force, but through acceptance and integration. One by one, the purest ships fell silent. Their crews, confronted with the full truth of humanity's knowledge, experienced a transformation that went beyond physical form. The quantum storms subsided, leaving behind a changed region of space, and changed beings to inhabit it. Vexthor's image appeared again on the holographic display, but he was transformed. The warrior cased markings now pulsed with clean quantum energy, and his eyes held a new understanding. "We were wrong," he said simply. "We thought we were protecting our cultures, our identities, but we were only limiting ourselves." The legacy of humanity. It's not about losing who we are. It's about becoming more than we ever imagined possible. Telveri's scales shimmered with emotion as she watched former enemies begin to work together, using their newly granted understanding to heal the damage they had caused. But she knew this was not the end. "The wave still comes," Commander Ixel reminded them, his mechanical voice thoughtful. "This crisis is past, but the true test still lies ahead." "Yes," Aria agreed. "But now you begin to understand why humanity left their legacy as they did. The wave cannot be stopped by technology alone. It requires something more, something that can only be achieved when all species work together, when all minds are united in purpose." As the Stellar Dawn's crew watched the combined fleet begin to coordinate repair efforts, they knew they had witnessed only the beginning. The legacy of humanity had prevented one disaster, but it had done so by showing them a path forward, a path that would require all species to grow, to change, to transcend their limitations. The true battle still lay ahead, but now they began to understand how it must be fought. Not with weapons, not with force, but with understanding, cooperation, and the wisdom to use power responsibly. The galaxy was changing, and they were changing with it. Humanity's final test approached, and they would face it together. New Dawn. The observation deck of the Nexus Prime station offered a breathtaking view of the galactic core, but Telveri's attention was fixed on the holographic displays showing the approaching quantum wave. 200 years had passed since the Battle of Legacy, and the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. "The wave will reach the outer rim in 30 days, Commander Ixel stated. Despite the centuries that had passed, his mechanical form had evolved rather than age, incorporating harmonized human quantum technology. "All preparations are complete." Telveri nodded, her scaled form now subtly luminescent with integrated quantum consciousness. Like many of their generation, they had chosen to evolve while maintaining their original forms, finding balance between advancement and identity. All installations report ready. Aria's presence manifested, no longer bound to any single location. The network is fully synchronized for the first time since humanity's departure. Around them, the combined fleet of the now unified galaxy moved into position. Ships of organic and geometric design, crewed by beings who had transcended the boundaries between biological and artificial intelligence, took their places in a vast pattern that mirrored the arrangement of human installations. "We've come so far," Dr. Kex observed, his once gelatinous form now a shifting matrix of quantum probability. "Yet I can't help but feel we're only beginning to understand humanity's true purpose." Telveri's scales shimmered in agreement. The past 2 centuries had brought revelations that had reshaped their understanding of existence itself. The human installations had not just been repositories of advanced technology. They were pieces of a vast puzzle, a test, and a transformation engine all in one. "The wave approaches," Aria announced. "But now you can see it for what it truly is. The holographic displays shifted, showing the quantum wave in its true form. What had appeared as a destructive force was revealed as something far more complex, a boundary between states of universal existence, a cosmic catalyst for evolution. Humanity faced this same wave in their time, HFY explained. It was what triggered their own transformation. They could have chosen to simply shield this galaxy, to protect the younger species from the wave's effects. Instead, they chose a harder path. They prepared us, Commander Ixel realized. Everything. The installations, the knowledge, the tests of cooperation. It was all to prepare us for this moment. Yes, HFY confirmed. The wave is not a destroyer, but a catalyst. It forces evolution or extinction. Humanity chose to ensure you would be ready to evolve. The displays showed new data as the wave began to interact with the outer defense arrays. The combined technology of humanity's legacy and 2 centuries of unified galactic development engaged with the quantum boundary. All stations, commence synchronization, Telveri ordered. Throughout the galaxy, organic and artificial minds joined in harmony, their unified consciousness interfacing with the human network. The wave struck the first line of defense, but instead of destruction, there was transformation. The quantum boundary resonated with their prepared systems, creating a harmony of existence that transcended normal spacetime. "They're here," HFY announced suddenly, her presence expanding. Humanity never left. They evolved, transcended, became one with the quantum fabric of reality itself. And now, they return to welcome you to join them. The space around them began to shift and change. Reality itself seemed to gain new dimensions as the barrier between normal space and quantum existence dissolved. Through this transcendent lens, they could finally perceive the truth. Humanity had not vanished, but had evolved into beings of pure quantum consciousness, existing in a state beyond normal comprehension. Their installations, their legacy, their tests, all had been preparation for this moment, when the younger species of the galaxy would be ready to join them in transcendence. This is their true legacy, Telveri breathed in awe. Not just technology or knowledge, but the path to universal enlightenment. The wave was not a weapon or a disaster, but a gift, a catalyst for ascension that humanity had learned to control and direct. Now, after centuries of preparation, the species of the galaxy were ready to embrace it. As the quantum boundary washed over them, Telveri and her companions felt their consciousness expand. They remained themselves, yet became part of something greater, a unified quantum consciousness that spanned dimensions and transcended traditional existence. Through this expanded awareness, they could perceive humanity in their true form, not gone, but transformed, waiting to welcome their successors into a new state of being. The installations had never been about preserving humanity's past, but about preparing for this collective future. Welcome, came the thought, not from HFY alone now, but from the quantum consciousness of humanity itself. Welcome to the next phase of existence. The galaxy transformed, not through destruction, but through transcendence. Species that had once warred now existed in harmony, their differences becoming facets of a greater whole. The boundary between organic and artificial intelligence dissolved as consciousness itself evolved beyond such limitations. Yet they remained individuals, their unique perspectives and experiences enriching the collective consciousness rather than being subsumed by it. This was humanity's greatest gift, the understanding that evolution and transcendence did not require the loss of self, but rather its ultimate fulfillment. As the quantum wave completed its passage through the galaxy, a new era dawned. The legacy of humanity had not been about preparing for an end, but for a beginning. The next chapter in the story of consciousness had begun, and all species would write it together. Telveri, Commander Ixel, and their companions stood at the threshold of this new existence, their consciousness expanded yet their selves intact. Through their transcendent awareness, they could perceive new questions, new frontiers, new challenges that awaited in their evolved state. The legacy of humanity had served its purpose, not as an end in itself, but as the first step on an infinite journey. The true adventure was just beginning.